I got excited before we started. Hi, and welcome to another episode of If It's in the Mind, It Can Be Managed. Do you know what? I think we're throwing a curveball in today, something completely different, which is everything that the Mind Management Mentors podcast is all about. I'm your host, Cuddy Cudworth, the UK's leading mind management coach, and the host of my favorite is podcast on YouTube right now, which is my podcast, the Mind Management Mentors podcast. I apologize. I am just getting over a cold and a chest infection, so I'm still a little bit bunged up, but it's past. It's past. This is just the remnants of what's left. Now, the Mind Management Mentors podcast is always the three pillars of workplace wellness, mental health and mindset, and coaches talking about what they do and why they do. And that's why we have Jillian on. So, Jillian, introduce yourself. We have a game in the UK called the Blind Date game, where you introduce yourself, tell us who you are, what you do, and where you're from.
Hi, I'm Jillian. I'm with Feng Shui in Motion. I help people who feel like something is not working in their life and they want to move forward with greater clarity, confidence, and ease. So, what I do, kind of think about it like Feng Shui meets Chinese astrology, but it's way beyond the restaurant placemat. Like you remember the going to the restaurant, the Chinese restaurant, and you see the placemat and you're like, oh, it's my animal sign. So what I'm doing way beyond that because I am a classically trained practitioner, and so I use all the ancient classical systems that are used for like wealth development formulas, things like that. And in addition to feng shui, I also practice a couple of other divination systems. One is Batzi, which is the four pillars of destiny. Dun dun dun.
We're
And
fine. We're going to deep dive that in a minute because I've not heard of that.
that's
I love that.
super fun. Yeah, so feng shui and Batzi. So four pillars of destiny is called Batzi. And then I also do a couple of other things. Shimen Dunja, which is the mysterious doors hiding leader. That's Sun Tzu's Art of Warcraft is based on that. And a little bit of I Ching and a few other things that are a little bit obscure. And I put these all together to customize experiences for clients so that they get results. So people who are ambitious, people who are focused on their well-being, and maybe already using other things like positive affirmations and they're doing focus things on business, whatever they're doing, and they realize that their environment is a contributing factor to their success. And so those are the kinds of people that I work with. I'm actually based in Phoenix, Arizona, USA, but I help people worldwide. So that's what I do.
Gillian, I'm hooked straight away. Now, before we find out the history of Gillian, because I think that's always a great conversation, can
Sure.
you explain for our straight at top of the show of how relevant for a lot of people say, oh, it's Chinese astrology, or it's a bit too woo-woo, and I love woo-woo. I absolutely love and adore woo-woo. So there's no a slight or slur from me on that in any way whatsoever. But what's the significance now of Chinese astrology and how can it be used? Because I think there's a lot of great teachings from Chinese philosophies from many, many years, and like really powerful philosophies. So what's going to be the relevance of Chinese astrology for helping people now?
Well, I think it's always been relevant. It's just newer to us, right? We're talking about millions of people in Asia who have been using these systems for thousands of years. They're just newer to us. So they're extremely relevant. And if you actually look at all of the multinational corporations across the world and the large financial centers are all based in places that have really good feng shui, like London or Hong Kong or New York. All of these actually have significant feng shui formations based on the land. And that's really how you do it very well. There's a reason why, for example, in America, our financial center is New York and our capital is in DC. That's a whole other story. But when you look at the landforms, they're significant. So millions of people all over the world, starting with emperors back in ancient China, have been using these systems, and they're still applicable today. In my opinion, I have not found Western astrology as an example to be super helpful for me because Western astrology, to the best of my knowledge, which is, by the way, not my area of expertise, uses what is visible in the sky, the planets and the stars that you can see. But in Chinese metaphysics, we're using what are called the five elements, and they are everything that make up the universe. So these five elements are water, wood, fire, earth, and metal. And when you understand how these elements interact with each other, then you can make some insights on people's behaviors, how they will, uh, how people's behaviors, the kinds of choices they're going to make, people's natural talents and gifts. And then we also use them in other things like Chinese medicine and Feng Shui, and the list goes on and on. And so I think that it's very relevant. It just happens to be that it might be not so familiar to us in the West.
So when you say Western astrology, do you mean like Cancer, Sagittarius?
Yes,
Right.
right.
And why? Where have they come? Actually, you're gonna. I know it's not your area of expertise, but I know you'll know. Where have they come from then? Who decided to say Cancer, Sagittarius? I mean, I know the stars align and things like that. Where did that come from?
I'm not even going to be able to answer that with any
Ah!
authority. I don't have a clue. Because I can share my first memory of being interested in anything obscure. My first memory as a kid, by the way, I'm a nice Jewish girl from Ohio. Dayton, Ohio, the birthplace of aviation, which is, that's where I was born and raised. My first memory is fighting with my father for the newspaper because the same page that had the crossword puzzle, which is what he wanted, had the horoscope, which is the page I wanted. But what I had learned over the years was that the horoscope, the Western horoscope, was not super valuable for me. It didn't make a lot of sense. Didn't feel like it fit, at least for me. And I went through like a self-help period in my 20s, and
We've
I was
all.
doing a lot of exploration. Like get out of college and you're trying to make your way in the world and be, effective and get a job and get promoted. And I was trying to figure out how to do that. And I came across some books on Chinese astrology and feng shui. And I have a friend who vividly remembers me saying to her, like I had a book in my hand and I brought this book to her and I said, "This is what I want to do. I found this. This is what I'm going to do." And I don't remember that at all, but she remembers how excited I was and it really felt like it resonated for me. And I still spent 20 years in college admissions counseling. I still had a day job while I was learning, studying, trying to figure it out. Um, and it wasn't until 2019, after I'd been in college admissions for 20 years, and I had gone through a year and a half private mentoring program with my master teacher, that it was time for me to go, okay, it's time to me do my business, get out on my own. They laid a ton of us off. We got massive layoff. And I was like,
Mm.
yay, it's my day. I get to go do what I want to do.
And there's not many people would do that. A lot of people that would be dread and horror, but there we are. Jillian's going, yes, that's
Yeah,
exactly what I wanted. Fantastic. Right, so this is actually going to be a really, really powerful podcast, and I love the fact that it's not. I know I'm a Cancer, which is hard on the outside and soft on the inside, and I know how flimsy the predictions are for those kind of Western astrology signs and things like that. So the premise of the podcast is how to survive 2026 knowing it's the year of the horse. That was how we talked. That's how we met. And I said that
yeah.
would make how to survive 2026 knowing it's the year of the horse. So,
Hmm.
Jillian, before we go into, you said you've got me a chart for me, and I don't know what it says in the chart. I don't know if I'm a little bit apprehensive because your eyes lit up and you went, "Oh, all right, okay, that's when you were born." You did, Jillian. You
I
did.
did. I
Yeah.
did.
So look, I am open to absolutely anything, and we'll get to that later. But
Yeah.
why is the year of the horse such an important year, and how do we survive 2026 in the world of craziness? Some people will say it's crazy, some people say it's no more crazy than it was last year. How do we survive year of the 2026 knowing it's year of the horse, and how does that make a difference?
I think it's important to focus on what's special about the year of the horse. And every year has its own energy signature, has its own energy pattern, if you will. And 2026 is the year of the yang fire horse. So when we say yang, and this is a little bit of a foundational principle, we have yin and yang. Yin is quiet, dark, feminine. Yang is bright, masculine, outward, if you will. And we're currently having this conversation in January. The year of the horse doesn't actually start on the solar calendar.
Mm.
There's two different calendars. There's a lunar calendar and a solar calendar. The solar calendar starts February 4th. So it's interesting. I have this theory that in January, people are like, oh, it's time, it's a new year. I'm going to make a resolution. And then nothing changes in January because you're still running on the previous year's energy. So we're currently still in the year of the snake. The year of the horse doesn't start until February 4th. So this fire horse actually runs on a specific energy signature, and this energy only comes around every 60 years. So there's a sexagenary cycle. Every 60 years, the energy comes through. And the last one was 1966. This fire horse is dynamic, it's passionate, it's forward moving energy. Think about like a wild horse running through the flames. I mean, there's a lot of power that needs to be channeled. And so this year really favors bold moves, innovation, transformation. The key is that this energy needs to be harnessed. So to harness it effectively, you need to understand, in my opinion, where the energy is flowing in your space from a feng shui perspective, and then also understanding what the energy brings to you specifically using your four pillars of destiny as a comparison so you know what's coming. And that when you put them together, it becomes really powerful.
Wow. And does do all the signs only come together every 60 years? Does everything drive around in a cycle of 60 years?
Correct. We this look at how smart. I love your question. You get an A plus, man. Awesome job with that question.
Ha!
So in Chinese astrology and Batsa, we have what are called heavenly stems and earthly branches. So the branches are the animal signs, the snake, the horse, the goat, the monkey, and then all of the animal signs that you see. And then whether the element that goes with it is yang or yin. So it's water, wood, fire, earth, and metal. And it could be yang fire, it could be yin fire, it could be yin wood, could be yang wood. And so when you put the 10 stems and the 12 branches together, you get a combination of 60. That's how that works.
Wow.
And
Okay.
it's a very specific and predictive. It's not like random. There's a system to it, so we can
So
easily see
I'm
what's
going
coming.
back to anything that happened quite big and I wasn't born in 66, but I know that in England, oh God, if anybody's watched, by the way, to
I
anyone
know.
who's English or Scottish watching this, I am not the kind of person who harps on about 1966. But there's a common thing in England that whenever a football tournament starts, they all start talking about 1966 when England won the World Cup.
Oh,
I
that's a
know,
little fact I didn't know about
yeah, and that's
1966.
you'll that's because you're American and it's probably not a big fact for you, but the one competition of the World Cup that England won was 1966. So every time
Oh,
there's a new World Cup, we're all saying, "Oh, what if it's going to be like 1966?" But I found it really like eye-opening when you said, "Oh, but it was such a powerful year. It was harnessed the fire horse in 1966." And that was the one thing that popped up. I'm sure there is 1,001 other things that popped up in 1966. And if we were to
yeah.
go to something on Google saying what happened in 1966, it will say there was a massive list. But for
Yeah.
England, it was winning the World Cup. What do you,
And the Aberfan disaster was a big situation in
the what?
1966. Aberfan, the
The,
disaster, the coal mine that okay, that was
see,
a
is
historical
that an
fact.
American thing?
No, no, it was in the Aberfan disaster. Wasn't that
In Wales?
in Wales? Yeah.
Oh, I remember that on the Royal. Oh, aye. So there was a lot of things that happened in 1966.
Yeah.
Right. And we're not saying it's the fire horse's fault.
No.
But what we're saying is there's a big, strong energy pull. I want to jump away before
Yeah,
we
yeah.
go into the four pillars of destiny. And it's funny that you said there is a Feng Shui in New York, which is why the money is in New York, because all the streets in New York align to the horizon, don't they? To the sun rising. There is a lot of, am I wrong?
You're not wrong, but that's not the reason why from a feng shui perspective.
Right.
So feng shui, when you break down the words, the literal meaning is feng, which is wind, and shui, which is water, and it represents the natural flow of energy. So the core idea is that this is the ancient practice of aligning yourself within your environment to harness the environment to support your well-being and your goals. And so the the poem or the phrase is something like the chi rides on the wind and it stops at the boundary of water. So if you actually look at the natural land formations, the water formation as it relates to the mountains in New York, the chi rides down the mountain and stops at the boundary of water. Same with Hong Kong, because there's that bay in Hong Kong where all the buildings and it's a massive financial
Yeah.
center. And so the chi rides on the wind down the mountain and it stops at the boundary of water. That's classical feng shui. That's how you do it really correctly.
So just because I want to make sure that I walk away from this podcast going, oh my God, I completely understand how to. The chi comes down on the wind and the water captures it. So you basically got the chi coming in, which is a positive energy, and it's all getting built together in this swirl of wind because the water is the boundary.
The water is the boundary. And so in modern times, we would also say like the road is the boundary. So in my home, I live in a single family home. And so the chi is in the natural environment, and the road also is the boundary. So we could use things like canals, rivers, ponds, lakes, the ocean, things like all of these fit for a boundary of water.
Ooh,
This
I
is why a lot of times you will see buildings that have fountains or water features at the front of the building because they are capturing good chi. Las Vegas is an excellent example of this. Almost every building in Las Vegas is using a feng shui formation. And there are some buildings that are super interesting because they're angled in sort of what look like strange ways, and it's because they're tapping into the natural mountains in the surrounding area.
no way.
Way. And this is also true for, I mean, we could go on and on, but like Buckingham Palace has a special feng shui formation, and all of these do. It's there's a reason why certain presidents don't stay in the White House and they go home because the feng shui in their home is different than it is in the White House.
Now, I don't want to get political because
Right.
that's
We're
not
not
what
going to
this
go
podcast.
there.
However, is the feng shui good at the White House or not good?
The answer to that question is who is it good for? So some presidents did much better in the White House than others, and also during specific times. So one of the things that we can talk about today as it relates to feng shui is a special system called flying stars. And flying stars is a really interesting concept because it helps us understand strategically where the energy moves and flies, if you will. The energy moves in a very specific pattern year to year. And so there are some years when the energy visiting the space is more favorable than others. So sometimes presidents did well, depending on the energy that was visiting, and sometimes not.
So would that come down to the energy that they have within their astrological sign? As you said, I was born in the year of the snake. I thought I was
Yeah.
born in the year of the monkey. So this is an absolute surprise to me.
Oh, we'll
Um,
definitely talk about that then. Yeah.
so does their alignment change because of the year that they were born, or whether they were going to be successful or not?
A little bit of both. It's a little bit of everything. It's never one thing. So in my world, it's never one thing. It's often a combination of factors. We could only look at it through the lens of feng shui. We could only look at it through the lens of Batsa. And each of them would give us information. But the way to do it really well is understand what the energy of your space is, and then understand what your personal energy is, and then align them together so that you are resonating with the best possible opportunity so that you can bring yourself energy that helps you with opportunity and collaboration and growth versus being in an environment or aligning with energy that brings obstacles or drains your energy. Your layout can either activate good energy or challenging energy,
Yeah.
and how you align with it will give us information about how you're going to do in life.
And that's going to bring, and I love it. I absolutely love it. So that's what brings me on to this next question, which I know is going to be a big deep dive for you, which is going to be brilliant. But what is Batset, and what are the four pillars of destiny?
That's a great question. We're having a fabulous conversation. I love that you asked this question. So, first of all, the four pillars of destiny is a big topic, and we're not going to be able to cover
Yeah,
every
of
single
course.
component today. But everyone has a unique set of 8 characters derived from their birth, day, and time, and also location is a factor. By the way, we recalculate for where you're born in the globe. And in Chinese metaphysics, we call this Bazi. Ba means 8 and Se means characters. And so essentially, these 8 characters reveal and help us understand your life journey from when you were born onward. And I know it sounds weird. You might be thinking, how can I possibly know about my life from 8 characters? And this is a fascinating and it's a deep system. It's been practiced from ancient times to today. And a lot of people will use Batsa as fortune telling. And in my practice, that's not how I use it. I
No.
use it to more focus understanding what your potential is and how to maximize it and how to align with favorable energy so that you can grow and you can expand and you can thrive. And that's, we all want to be our best selves. And that's really the benefit of understanding the Batsa. For example, your chart is built on what are called four pillars. So when your Gregorian birth date is converted to the Chinese solar calendar, we get a year, a month, a day, and an hour representing different aspects of your life. So the year and the month, just as an example, the year and the month really represent your external world, how you interact with society, your network, your career, your authority. Also, it gives us information about how your wealth opportunities. Your day and hour pillars are internal. So it represents your inner world, your truest nature, your truest self, your personal relationships, your legacy, your children, your aspirations, your assets, your goals, things later in life. And so if anyone's interested, I actually have a free calculator on my website that people can use, and I can actually put it in the chat if you want me to include
We'll put it
it.
on the podcast. It's all right. Well, when the podcast goes
Okay.
live, which is
Yeah.
funny because it will be February. When you said, "Oh, like the new year of the
Oh,
horse," so it actually
okay.
will go out about February. It'll go out after then. To be fair, so we will
Okay.
be in year of the horse by the time
By
this
then.
goes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. So essentially, you go to the calculator, you put in your birth information, and it will calculate the chart instantly for you. The chart will ask you for your gender, and it's the gender assigned at birth. It may not be how you experience your gender now.
you've
That's
got to be
okay.
careful. We just don't know how we say it, right?
So we just simply assign what, enter what you were assigned at birth, and it will system will calculate from there. And what's kind of cool is you get a very detailed chart. You get your life star, your life gua number, you get your lucky directions for feng shui, you get a basic batsa chart, and you also get what are called 10-year luck pillars. So in addition to the four pillars, we have what are called 10-year luck pillars, and those are extra layers that we look at for a 10-year period that give us additional information about how you might do and things that might happen during that time.
Perfect. I love it.
Yeah.
By the way, you've got me. I am absolutely hook, line, and sinker. I'm like, because I'm looking at my office now and thinking, I don't know if I'm aligned up with Feng Shui. I do remember years ago, and I don't know if this is closer around the subject, but there was a certain thing that somebody was, again, this is probably too random a thing to say, but we were told that our bed when we lived in the Canary Islands was at the wrong angle because it was facing inland, not facing towards the water. So that we were told you'd probably have more nightmares. And I'm like, why will I have more nightmares? Because you want to be facing the water, because there's an energy flow of taking things away, especially in your dreams. And I was like, wow. And we did change our bed. We absolutely did change our bed, strangely
Did it
enough.
work for you?
I believe, I don't have that many nightmares to be fair. I do have very vivid dreams, and I do dream a lot. And I'm like, oh, that was a good one. That was a fun one. But I just remember that was in Fuerteventura in the Canary Islands. Back to, oh God, it must be how long me and my wife been together now? 25 years, so probably about 23 years ago. Wow, long time ago. Right, so we've got what Bata is and the four pillars of destiny. Right, so I think a really powerful thing for you to do now is we only talked for about 5 minutes before the podcast. Jillian, what wins have you had from you doing your Chinese astrology and Batsa? For you
So
personally,
for
Jillian.
me, so earlier I said, oh, I got laid off, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I knew that was coming. I could see in my chart that there was a significant shift, and so I was very prepared. So legitimately, people were sobbing. They were losing their livelihood. Like they were really upset. But I had been preparing. I could see that it was coming for years. So I was studying, I was building my business, I was doing this on the background, and I really felt ready. So when the time came for that shift, and it was really like a break, right? It was sort of like a
Mm.
literally a breakaway. And I could give them my badge and say, I'm out of here, where, people are really really upset. And I was ready. And that is significant. And I think that there are also ways that you can pay attention to when's the right time to get married, when's the right time to have a baby, when's the right time to make a career change, when's a good time to move. And the chart can give us information about when the energy is more supportive for those types of life activities or not. It's a nice high level overview. There are other systems for very detailed day-to-day questions, but for a high level overview, it's very helpful.
Nice. I suppose it leaves it open for interpretation as well when you've got, because we like to look at signs and meanings and things like that, and we'll be like,
Yep.
when you said you had the significant change when COVID happened, I did a career change because I used to work for Royal Caribbean, and then I was like, no, I don't want to go back to that. But I'm thinking, I bet you it was immature. Right.
I
So
will tell
you had.
you exactly why that happened when we look at your chart and when.
Ah! Right, let's do it. Let's
You want to
go
do
for a
it?
live chart reading on the podcast. Do you know how to share your screen?
I'm going to share my screen now.
Perfect.
This is, I'm going to do it this way. Let me give you this. You can see this, yeah?
I can. Let me see if I
Okay.
can change the view so that we can still have. There we go. That's how we're going to do. Perfect. Go
I
for it.
think I have spelled your last name wrong and I apologize. I will
It's all
fix it for
right,
you.
Cudworth. There's no S. Everybody puts an S in it.
Oh man, I'm so sorry.
Do you want
I
my
will fix
real
it.
name? Because Cuddy's not actually my real name.
Oh, well,
Does that matter?
it doesn't, I mean, it only matters if you care. Do you want to tell us your real name?
No, it's Cuddy. Everyone calls me Cuddy.
Okay, then that's what it's going to be. It's totally okay.
Perfect.
So when we look at a chart, we read it from right to left. So we have the year, the month, the day, and the hour. So we can see that you were born in a yin fire snake year, in a yang fire horse month. So you have a special formation for the year of the horse. You were born in a yang water rat day and a yang earth monkey hour. So even though you said you were born at 4:12 in the afternoon, we have to change for the solar time and to adjust for things like daylight savings time
Right.
because that's a man-made structure. So this is actually the correct hour that you were born. So technically, it's the same hour because Chinese clock is a 2-hour window, so it's 3 to 5. So it's still the same hour, but that's the correct time. And then you are currently in this luck pillar. So you have a 10-year luck pillar that started in 2023, and you're currently in the yin metal ox luck pillar. And as we're launching this podcast, we're in the year of the Yang Fire Horse. So when we read a chart, now we're doing a little study lesson here. It's a mini study lesson. When we read a chart, there are two things that are very important in the chart. One is the day stem. So we can see we have stems across the top and branches across the bottom. The day stem is yang water. That is your true representation of your true nature. Yang water is like ocean water. It's very powerful. It's deep. It's emotional. These are things that people may not actually know about you.
It's very true. And I'm always in water, by the way.
Yeah, you probably really enjoy the
I
water.
I just take so much joy out of water. It's unbelievable. I cold
Yeah,
water dip every day.
yeah, very important. The other thing that is significant is that the month that someone is born in. So that tells us the season. And you were born in the summertime. So we have water element born in summer season, which is um, does not make the element strong. That's okay. That just helps us understand the balance of elements in the chart. We want all 5 elements in the chart. So we want to see water, wood, fire, earth, and metal. Blue for water, green for wood, red for fire, brown for earth, gray for metal. And we can see in your chart, there's not anything green here. There's no wood element in your chart. So it doesn't really surprise me that you're doing the work that you do because your outer pillars, your external pillars, earlier we said the external pillars are year and month, are all fire element. Fire element is inspiration. It's generosity. It's warmth. It's being gregarious. Um,
Yes, every part
it
of that.
every part of that. And when you said that you went from one job to another in
Yeah,
2020. So 2020 was the year of the metal rat. That's when COVID happened, right? The whole lockdown. Well, it
yeah.
started in 2019, but we're at 2020, right? Which was the year of the rat. And so the horse represents this month pillar, represents your career. And so that would have been a very specific clash. So the horse would have clashed with the rat, and you would have had a job change. That totally makes sense. That's why that happened.
Oh, oh my God, I love it.
So when people say, are we, when after 2020, the question was all about the pandemic because it started in the year of the rat. And so everyone's like, COVID, COVID, COVID. A few of us in my little professional circle talk about COVID being clashed away in the year of the horse. And so it's sort of been happening where the virus has evolved, it's grown. If you've been following it, it's changed. And there's a concept that it will potentially be clashed away and essentially be done as a pandemic threat in the year of the horse.
Which is this year.
Yeah, which is this year.
Wow. So. when you pulled up my chart, your eyes just went. There was kind of like two faces going on. What was the face for? What popped out for you? Because I was that intrigued me.
Okay, so when we are experiencing an animal year and we have that animal in our chart, we think, oh, it's my year because it's the year of the horse. I have a horse in my chart. It's my year, particularly the year pillar. So if you were born in the year of the horse, you would say, oh, it's my year. Really, it's a mirroring effect. It's not necessarily bad. We would never want to say anything bad or good, but it does give a little bit of a mirroring effect. And the Chinese term is called fan tai sui. So when you are fan tai sui, you are offending the emperor star for the year, which is not really something that you want to do. So because you have a horse in your chart, you have this offense, we'll say, in your chart. The other component is that you have a rat in your chart. So there's naturally a clash. So you naturally have this, I want to work, I have my personal life, I've got my work, my personal life, and there's a little back and forth that goes on. Um, if you, I don't know enough about your life, but if you were in a relationship, your spouse might want to control how much work you actually do because water controls fire element. And so when you are feng tai sui or when you have a clash, if you have a rat in your chart, it can indicate a year of change. I don't mind clashes. I think that clashes are often good because they bring change, but people are often afraid of change. People go,
Yeah,
"Oh
I'm
my
not.
God, it's a clash. It's
No, yeah,
terrible."
no,
And there's a
no, I'm
lot
not.
of, I think, vernacular in the Eastern perspective that clashes are bad. You don't want anything to happen, and I don't agree with that.
Yeah,
And in your case, the clash is clashing out because water controls fire, so it's not necessarily a bad thing.
yeah, no, I think change is great.
Yeah.
I'm loving it.
Yeah. So
So,
last year was the year of the snake. So for the snake year, you would have been Fon Sui in the year of the snake. And so you may have found that that your exterior network had shifted, that you were going through a period of sort of self-transformation and self-discovery where you wanted to become more of an inspiration. And the other component too is that, I mean, this is very detailed. You were born in the afternoon.
yeah,
And so yin fire is best at night because if you think about a candle, candles bring hope and they do their best work at night,
yeah.
whereas the sun needs to shine during the day. So because you're born in the daytime, that means that the yang fire element is actually more dominant in your chart.
Wow. What prediction are you going to make for me for the year? Are you allowed to make a prediction?
Well, there's one more thing.
Oh my God! I saw your face! Jillian!
So the ox, which is your luck pillar, um, has a harm relationship with the year of the horse. So I would just encourage you to protect your IP. We don't like a harm. The background on this is we don't like a harm. A harm
What
is
do you
something
mean
that
by
is
IP? Protect your IP. What does that mean?
intellectual property. Your intellectual property, protect your IP.
What, like me personally?
Yeah, for your business. Protect any, if you have a system, if you have something, if you have a brand, make sure that it's protected. We don't like a harm. Harm is something that comes from the outside and comes at you and you can't see it. So it could be a betrayal. What's good is that it's in your luck pillar. So it's farther away from your chart. The farther away from the day pillar it is, the better, if you will. But I just encourage you to make sure that you are protecting yourself as much as you can. Um, Fire element, you're going to get lots of fire element this year. You have fire in your year pillar, fire in your month pillar. You're getting fire in the annual pillar for the year of the horse that we're coming into. That's a lot of fire element. So you just need to be careful about things like your health. Fire element for young fire element in this particular year for the horse has to do with the shoulders, blood, heart, circulation, eyes, small intestine. And so you just want to make sure to get a health check early in the
That one
year.
actually. I did. I just had one. And
Good.
it came back very good. I was very
That's great.
surprised for a
That's
larger
terrific.
gentleman. Yes.
Anybody who has water element in their chart is going to be in demand. So because you have water in your day pillar, in your stem and your branch, you're likely going to be called upon to solve problems for people or have bring solutions to people for the year.
Wow. Oh,
Particularly in your inner circle, your closest friends, your spouse, your people that are close to you are will be you'll be the person to solve problems. So what that means is you may want to also protect yourself from burnout because you'll get called on a lot.
It is always burnout. It is. I'm terrible at setting boundaries, to be fair. I know I am. I'm being totally self-aware. Well, fantastic. Thank you very right. Is there anything else you want to share? Possibly good news for me, Jillian.
Good news. Well, the best news is that you have water element in your chart because it is the most demanded element of the year. Um, and that is going to be important. Do you, in addition to your podcast, do you have a job? Like, do you
Yeah,
have an
I'm a mind
outside?
management coach. Yes. So
Okay.
I help people overcome trauma and design their life the way they wish. Yes.
Okay. So when we look at with the way to do this correctly, in my opinion, is to look at what the year pillar, well, I should have done this. Um, what the year is bringing. Why didn't that work? Let's do this. Sorry. What the year element is actually bringing you. So this is what we look at. So what you're getting in the year is something called indirect wealth. Indirect wealth is money that comes in buckets or batches. So maybe you'll get a contract. Maybe you will do a retreat or something where you get paid in a chunk.
Ooh.
You may also be called upon to give people more direction. This is what's called direct officer. Direct officer could mean a boss. Um, it could also mean that you have a client that's very demanding. So somebody who really needs you to give them structure, to to give them structure and to sort of, I don't want to say this, kind of be their boss also. And the other thing that you're getting here is ding, and this is actually related to your spouse. So direct wealth for a man is spouse. So your spouse will be front and center this year. Make sure that you plan date night. I'm sure she'll appreciate me telling you that.
She always says everything I do is centered around my wife.
There you go.
Well, I've really enjoyed this. This has been fantastic. Thank you
That's
very
like the
much.
super short version, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
of
there's
course, obviously.
way more that we can dive into, but are you also studying something? Are you like taking a extra program of study behind the scenes?
I am learning AI as much as I can. To be fair, I'm always trying to learn AI and things like that, and always trying to up level in any way that can make our life easier, I suppose.
Yeah, so your luck pillar is direct resources, conventional knowledge. So a program, something that you would learn that's more conventional. So yeah, anything that you can learn in technology, tech, AI, innovation is all going to be super hot and super in demand this year. And so anything that you can do to align with that will actually be more favorable for you.
Oh, wow.
That's how I read it. There may be somebody who's watching or listening that
Of
may be
course.
like, I don't agree with that. This is just my perception.
Yes.
Sometimes I think about the way that we do this is like if you're in Italy, every grandmother has their own recipe for spaghetti and for their sauce. And so everybody has a little bit of a different perspective. That's just how I do it. And that's a super short version. What we can talk about in 5 or 10 minutes
I love it.
to give you some insight.
This has been brilliant. I genuinely didn't think I was born in the year of the snake, though. I'm looking at
Oh
the
yeah.
date. So the date of birth, I thought I was 49, but it says on there I'm 48.
Well,
I was
you'll be
born in
49 in June.
1977. I was born in 1977. Am I 48 this year then? Am I?
There you go.
So I've got 2 years before I'm 50.
Plan accordingly.
Ha! I'm gonna have to ask me what I can't believe it. I
Believe
thought
it.
so I am. I'd been telling everyone I was 49 because I was thinking, oh, I'm 50
Not
now.
yet.
And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm 48. I thought I'd been, yes, I am 48. Wow.
It's a program. I mean, you could do the math on your own, but the program is pretty reliable. I know who made this. He's great. I like this program a lot.
I can't believe I'm actually going to go say to my wife, I'm only 48. And she's going to like, she will actually say, yeah, I know. I'm like, I thought you were 49. She was like, no, you're only 48. Oh, well, that's amazing. This was fantastic. Thank you very much.
You're
Stop the
welcome.
screen share because this was fascinating, by the way,
You're
Julie.
welcome. Yeah,
Yeah.
the only thing that we didn't talk about was the feng shui part. If you want to spend a couple minutes on that, we can do that too. Or if you feel like we need to wrap up, that's okay. It's up to you.
No, look, please, because I was quite genuinely interested in the feng shui, which is actually what we were going to talk about was the feng shui. But
Yeah.
this popped up and this was fantastic. Um, so I've got to protect my IP.
I
I'm
think
happy. The thing
it's
is, I'm
smart.
happy. I'm willing to let things go. To be fair, I'm
I
willing to
know
let
there
things
is
go.
karma in the world, like you can
I
let it go, but
know.
there may be some things that you're like, oh, but this is mine and I want to protect it. So just yeah.
Yeah, it's probably coming. I think it's coming up for priority mind management's IP to come back up again. I think it's coming up to it'll be in so many years, and you only pay for the license for so long. So I've got a feeling that might be it. But anyway, we're not gonna
That
circumnavigate.
might be the reason that we had this conversation because sometimes I don't think there's a reason for everything. Everything happens
Always.
for a reason, and everything is timing and alignment. So if you get this bit of information now, then you can prepare. The challenge with the harm is that you don't know where it's going to come from, and
Yes.
so if you can make an attempt, right? Like
Yes.
yeah,
Absolutely. So I don't want to talk about feng shui. I want to ask you one more thing. I
yeah,
actually this is because this is the whole point of the podcast.
yeah.
So the question is, how do you survive the year of the horse? 2026, overgeneralizing. You do not have to overgeneralize if you don't want. How does somebody survive 2026, the year of the fire horse?
So the most in demand element that we talked about is water element, and I think that it's very important for people to bring in that water element into their lives as much as possible. That means being calm, using wisdom, not jumping to conclusions. It's almost like people are running around doing stupid stuff and they're not thinking twice. That's a lot of we're going to see this year. And so if you can understand, I need to calm down, I need to meditate, I need to hydrate. Literally, you should be drinking half of your body weight in ounces of water. So if you weigh 100 pounds, then you should be drinking
You've
half of your
been
body
very
weight in
kind.
ounces.
If you look at me and say you think I'm 100 pounds, you've been
I'm
very
I'm about
polite.
100 pounds.
Right.
You get my point. You should be drinking, stay hydrated, plan rest, set boundaries. I also think it's going to be very helpful to, and I hate to say this because you're in tech, but we do need to detach from tech a little bit and we need to get into nature. Go to the water, go to the lake, go to the river, go to the ocean, get
Oh, I'm
in
in
the
it every
water.
day. Yeah, we I live
I'm
down by the Forth in Scotland, and I dip in it for 2 to 5 minutes every day. Drive down, go to the beach, ground on the earth, get into the water, live my best life, get out.
that's I if you can bring that water element into your life, think before you speak, meditate, hydrate, focus on your health, be calm, set boundaries. That's going to make a huge difference if that's all that you do from an elemental perspective. There are other feng shui things to do, but that focusing on water elements and bringing that in is going to be very beneficial for everybody.
I love it. Jillian, you were an absolute joy, by the way.
Thank you. I've enjoyed our conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, thank you very much for coming on to the Mind Management Mentors podcast.
It's a
Um,
pleasure.
Yeah, it's look, we don't do for anybody that's saying, "Oh, I want to go on the podcast." I actually don't do much prep with the guests because I really want to find out in the moment, in the flow. So it's more spontaneous, it's more real, and I think this is not actually what we said we were going to talk about, but I think this was a more powerful podcast and a more powerful way for people to say, "Do you know what? I want to have a chat with Jillian.
Yeah.
Jillian is the person that I want to speak to, even though she's in." Um, the
Phoenix,
Phoenix thing.
Arizona,
And I know you said you were
USA.
from
Yeah.
Ohio, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well, look, thank you. Jillian, is there anything else you want to share with the world now on the Mind Management Mentors podcast?
If you are focused on your well-being, if you're focused on living your best life, I think it's important to consider the significance of your environment and understand your strengths and challenges so you can have a foundation to live your best life. Moving forward with clarity, confidence, and ease, that is really what I help bring people to.
Mm, that's amazing. And on that bombshell, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much, Jillian, for being on the Mind Management Mentors podcast. And as I say, it's on all at the end of the episodes. I hope you've enjoyed this. Like and subscribe. You've been an absolute joy being a guest. Thank you so much, Jillian, because we didn't know each other. And I think for a lot of people, they're like, "Oh, well, I don't know Cuddy," and I make it as simple as possible for everyone to come on and
Yeah.
genuinely share their story. And you've shared some absolute gems. The four pillars of
Destiny.
Batsa, Destiny, Batsa. I know I'm going to start looking into that. That's absolutely fantastic. And the year of the fire horse. So this is how you survive 2026. By understanding it's the year of the fire horse. You've been a joy. Thank you
Thank you.
very much, Jillian. As always, big love from Cuddy. and we'll see you on the next episode of the Mind Management Mentors podcast.